This is the high-level overview of PrairieLearn. My name is Ben, and this is the first video of our documentation overview. So let's get started. So basically for this video, we're going to go over what is PrairieLearn and why do we care about what PrairieLearn is. So what is PrairieLearn? PrairieLearn is essentially Zybooks, which has its own homeworks and grading and automation or auto-gradable things. But if you don't really know what Zybooks is, I'm going to talk about that here. PrairieLearn, from a student view, it's interactive. It lets the students interact with the homeworks more. It's auto-gradable, which means that they give it the answers, it auto-grades it, and then spits out the answer or the results for them, which then brings me to the next point. It gives you immediate results, which is really nice, especially for students. They can see what they got right, what they got wrong, and that can help them improve, and it can help them learn faster in order for the next one. They're not waiting on somebody to grade their homework, so that way they don't know if it's correct or not before they take the next one, which is very good for them. What's nice about PrairieLearn from an instructor, TA, or developer view, it's customizable. You can kind of create your course in any way you want. If you want to have X amount of homeworks or if you want to have X amount of questions, the content and the questions are also completely customizable. It's flexible. You can have a variety of different questions. We'll go over that here later in the documentation and a little bit later in the video, but you can have different types of questions. You can have different variances of questions and stuff like that. It's also analytical after students take their homeworks, and it compiles all of the data. It also puts it together in a CSV file. You can create graphs, and you can see how students are reacting to using this PrairieLearn. You can see if their grades have improved. You can see which questions they fail on, or which questions they don't understand, which is really nice from an instructor and TA point of view, because that way they know kind of what more to hit on during their instructions. So why do we care about this? I kind of talked a little bit about that, but from a student's point of view, you want to expand the student's knowledge in an interactive way, so that way they kind of associate with it more being interactive, and then they learn more about it. They're more interested in it. So that's one reason why I would care. Another reason why I would care is there's a variety of different homeworks. You can create a homework in so many different ways, and there's so many different variances of questions. So say one of the tools within PrairieLearn is they don't understand what the question means or what the numbers are. They don't like the numbers. They can click new variant. It kind of switches up the question a little bit. It'll change some numbers, change some wording, and then hopefully they can work with that type of question better. It also would be good for a student's point of view. It would increase their performance if they're interacting with it more, which is a very good thing. You would want your students to succeed, as well as increasing performance. It's also going to increase their engagement with the class due to this interactive learning. So then why would the instructor and TA or developer care? PrairieLearn is an open source framework, which means it's free to use, but is also customizable and flexible, kind of what we talked about earlier. You can create many different courses, many different semesters kind of lined up, many different homeworks and questions. It's very easy to use, so that would be practical. Very easy to use, easier to put together than most things. And it's also auto-gradable, which is very practical. But then one of the big things that we also touched on earlier would be it's analytical, which is it would show you where the students are struggling, so that way people can kind of know where to touch on in SI sessions or TA help hours. They can kind of go through and we see you missed this question or this question. Like, do you want to ask any questions about this? Or most of the students missed this question. Let's re-go over that. So that's one of the things that would be very useful about PrairieLearn. So here's just I put together a little taste of PrairieLearn. So inside of this course, you can see that there's a couple course instances. You can just see here that this is one called Fall 2022 and then Spring 2023. Here's what it would look like if the students were to look at all of the homeworks. Right here, we just have 12 homeworks. And then inside of that homework, this is what it would look like. It would have all of the questions sitting inside of that homework with the assigned points sitting next to that as well. And here's some of the sample questions that we have. So we have like a open-ended question here where you can kind of free response. There's interactive questions like moving these into between boxes to create a solution. There's also multiple choice and check boxes. And then there's also a coding type question here. And then for the coding type, it does compile, and you can set different tests to see if the code passes a certain criteria. So you can see here, I left this blank, but I just hit save and grade. And then when you hit save and grade, it says it's compiled, it's uploaded, the grading is in process. But since I didn't add any code, you can see here that it was the incorrect answer, so it gave me 0% on it. So that's just a little bit of the taste of PrairieLearn. We'll go definitely more in depth in it in future videos, but I just wanted to give you guys just a little bit of a look at it. So in summary, PrairieLearn is an interactive framework. We hope that it would increase student engagement and performances in the classes that PrairieLearn is being used for. It's practical because there's a variety of different questions. You can create so many different homeworks. It's very customizable. It's also practical because it's auto-gradable, which would give back that immediate results for the students. And then down here, yep, you can also see it's customizable. You create a lot of different homeworks, flexible, practical, and then analytical, like we talked about earlier. Alrighty, so the next video you're going to be looking at is setting up the PrairieLearn remote server.